BHP confirms China's Australia coal ban. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.Heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee and let's have a look at this article from news.com.au, which is discussing BHP's confirmation that China is deferring Australian coal imports. So it claims that China is banning our imports or putting a quota on them. True? Yesterday I had a look at this topic, and among some things you could see just the difference in NO2 levels now to how it was in the past. Apparently, their economic recovery, their springback, hasn't materialized in their burning of fossil fuels for power generation. Now I know we send them coal for steel production, coal for power production, but it's all tied together, guys, and it's all going to have an impact on our economy here in Australia. So if you haven't watched that video, I suggest you have a look, and you can see just the difference right there in that little thing. And I will try and remember to put a tag to it up above, but it should be easy to find. So let's have a look here, because, well, this is going to have a big impact on particularly my state, Queensland and New South Wales. We're the two big exporters of coal. And, well, I've had projects help me start my firm. Two big mines, guys. So, it flows through the economy. It flows through the economy. Don't think it doesn't. So BHP confirms China is deferring Australian coal imports. BHP confirms China is deferring Australian coal imports, saying it is concerned about the impact trade tensions will have on economic recovery. Now, here's the question. Is it actually to do with trade tensions, or are they just claiming that because their production isn't at the level as that they're claiming? Their recovery. Is it just more, we can't admit that we're not skyrocketing to the moon in China, so we have to just claim, it's trade tensions, yada, yada, yada. I mean, it could be. Either way, here in Australia, we're going to hit it. We're going to cop it, guys, because coal is a big export. What I'll do is I will bring up the Observatory of Economic Complexity just to highlight the scale of this industry. We can see here, once it comes up, how much this sector is worth to us. Coal is our number one export at the moment, or at the time this data was captured, of $57.2 billion. Now, for a comparison, everyone, I'll bring up the tourism industry. Tourism is $60.8 billion at the time this data was captured as a portion of GDP. That sector's pretty much been more than decimated. It's just been destroyed. Tourism right now. Now, if it happens to coal, well, this is going to be a tough recession, guys. It's going to be a tough recession. Mining giant BHP has confirmed China is deferring shipments of Australian coal. Oh, we've already read that. See, I'm getting tired here. I'm not having enough coffee. The federal government said on Tuesday it was looking into reports Chinese buyers had been told to stop importing Australian coal, and on Wednesday BHP suggested it had seen evidence. A commercial team has recently received deferment requests from some of our Chinese customers, Chairman Ken McKenzie told reporters after the company's first virtual annual general meeting. The good thing about our portfolio is we've got fantastic products: iron ore, metallurgical coal, copper, oil and gas that are well positioned geographically, that are well positioned on the cost curve, and that are at the higher end of the quality spectrum, and not easily displaceable, not readily available around the world. So that's what helps us. So if we have the quality and costs, that is a point of advantage. With regards to these minerals, guys, one thing to keep in mind is that there's a cost to pull this stuff out of the ground. There's a cost to pull this stuff out of the ground. And I mean, we have a look here. Gold is an example. It's 1900. So there's certain mines, the lower it gets, the mines aren't even efficient, or certain portions of the mine are efficient to extract certain art. You'll see them often will mothball mines, just have them in a maintenance mode depending on the value of minerals. And coal and iron ore, they have different extraction prices. Oil as well. When oil is so low, there's going to be a whole lot of extractors that just can't do it feasibly. They just can't do it. So coal's now $54 a ton. So if some of our mines are still doing well at this price, that's pretty good. I remember when it was up around this level here, over $130 a ton. That's when we were working on projects, and it was just crazy. You saw all the accommodation they were designing for these mines just went up a notch. That went up a notch. And you know the guys who work out on the mines, they get spoiled. Or at least they did back in the day. You know, gymnasium. I mean, they have to work bloody hard, but they get gymnasium, all their clothing washed, all food cooked for them. But then you're living in the middle of nowhere, so, you know, it's... My brother-in-law, he's now working from home, remotely more. He works out on a mine, so he'd be flying out there all the time. And he's happy to take the pay cut to have more time at home. You know, he just, you know, much happier. Go for a surf and then go in a virtual meeting. Quality of life, guys. There are some advantages to the future. So, they do a lot of scenario planning around this. I don't think we're as concerned about the trade barrier implications for our product, notwithstanding the energy coal imports in China right now. Our concern around some of these geopolitical tensions and trade wars that are going on is the impact it could have on global growth in a post-pandemic world. That probably has even more concern. So that's what they're worried about. They're not too worried about China not importing our coal. They're worried about the bigger picture. They're taking one step further out. And they're right there. That could have a big impact on the return of the economy, of the global economy. And that, because that'll filter through to our tourism, that'll filter through to our education system, which are both heavily dependent on people coming from overseas. And that will filter through to our property sector. And I'll bring up one of my favorite charts, guys. When I first shared this, it just shocked me. Looking at the Foreign Investment Review Board, that black line shows the percentage of building approvals for foreign investors. And this is for new builds. See how it nearly hit 100%? Right around the time where we had that huge property and apartment boom in New South Wales. Well, pretty much in every city. So, BHP revealed in August it seeks to exit certain coal assets. Its BMC mines in Queensland, Mount Arthur mine in the Hunter Valley, and Kurrajong operation in Colombia, to concentrate its coal portfolio on higher quality coking coals as steelmakers seek to improve blast furnace utilization and reduce emissions intensity. See, here's another consideration. This is something the greenies never think about. You know, we've got them all coming here marching against a coal mine, and they're worried about the environmental impact, but they don't realize that by digging up that coal, exporting it, you're probably going to have a better impact on the environment because they'll not be burning worse coal. Or you'll have less people getting sick and dying of lung disease because they're not having to burn dung in their homes. But, I mean, you know, that's the problem when you're hyper-focused on an issue and it becomes your entire identity, becomes your political and ideological position. You become possessed and you can't see the bigger picture. And I see it all the time, particularly with all the people that just go on about solar. When they don't even think about embodied energy. They don't even think about the cost of transporting it over here. They don't realize this stuff will only have about a 20-year lifespan, and they don't realize you have to mine to actually make solar panels. You know, there's a lot of environmental impact there. But then they say, oh no, but that doesn't matter. It's probably for the greater good. But they've never looked at any of the figures. Because remember, you know, go ahead, install it on there, go nuts, do what you want. But we're tax subsidizing it to the hilt. I'd rather people get to keep more of the tax money, and then if people want to splurge on it, let them do it. But it's the same thing here. This is an example of where these steel industries could reduce their impact, reduce their environmental impact by getting a better quality product. Maybe that's a point of difference, a competitive advantage we have. So, many of the questions Mr. McKenzie and Chief Executive Mike Henry fielded during the AGM related to climate change, including why the company continues to invest in petroleum. While it has a net zero emissions by 2050 target, it believes fossil fuels still have a role for some time to come. We accept the science around climate change, but petroleum is going to be a part of the energy mix for decades. I mean, this is the thing, guys. It's real simple. Climate change is a very slow-moving issue. It is not as drastic and scary as people seem to think. The quality of life of people all around the world is improving drastically. All the doomsayers, come on. We've had people prophesizing about the end of the world since Malthusian times, and humanity always seems to catch up. Always seems to find a way, because usually there's a way to make money from a solution, and it'll materialize. So it's not really it's not something I stay up at night about. I'm more worried about socialism. It's got a much greater proven track record of decimating people. So, BHP was also grilled on Indigenous Engagement, a day after sealing an 11th hour agreement with the First Nations Heritage Protection Alliance to withdraw a resolution proposing a moratorium on activities that would disturb, destroy, or desecrate cultural heritage sites in Australia to be reviewed annually by the board. The resolution also proposed a commitment to not enforce any contractual or other provisions that limit the ability of traditional owners to speak publicly about cultural heritage concerns on their land. The mining giant said the parties had instead agreed on a pathway forward to enhance and influence the voice of traditional owners in relation to heritage protection. We've determined a set of shared principles around Aboriginal heritage in Australia which reaffirms BHP's commitment to free, prior and informed consent in agreement making, a statement said. Together we agree regulatory regimes should respect and reflect these rights. The alliance was formed in response to Rio Tinto's Kucoin Gorge debacle, which saw two 46,000-year-old caves containing Indigenous artefacts in Western Australia blown up to recover $135 million worth of iron ore as part of the Brockman 4 mine expansion. The destruction sparked worldwide outrage and is being investigated by parliamentary inquiry. I mean, this is ancient cave artwork that's being destroyed for a bit of iron ore. I mean, iron ore is what? What is it going for now? Not much. Hang on, we'll go to commodities. That's the thing. That's something you can't. It's just insane from a media perspective to just blow it up for some iron ore. What is it? 122.50 a ton. Yeah. Kind of sad. This is why, at least one thing, we need to start capturing all of these things. Get it, hire it. Point Cloud Australia, Point Cloud, and scan it. Well, no, don't use my scanner. Get something with a, super high photo HDR imagery. Mine's great for construction. But, this needs to be captured. Mr. McKenzie said relationships with traditional owners were among the most important BHP has, and recent industrial events only reinforce that view. Strong partnerships with Indigenous people are essential for BHP's business, Mr. McKenzie said. See, I'm hoping this actually will improve the livelihoods of some of the people living out there. And it's not just all posturing. You've seen up in Darwin, some of the issues where these body corporates get all this money and royalties, and then it just goes into, the leaders and the body corporate or whatever just start frittering it away. And the average person up there doesn't see a penny of it. It's disgusting. It really is. Maybe instead of giving them all, to this body corporate, they should just get shares to the family. The families, the individuals get shares in BHP. What would you rather? What do you think will help generationally? So, BHP strongly supports the updating of Australia's cultural heritage laws in ways that give proper consideration and respect to traditional owners' views. Kucoin Gorge was a tragedy. It was a loss of unique cultural heritage, but it was also a loss of trust, and it's had an impact across the industry as a whole, so we've listened to Indigenous leaders. After the cave destruction, BHP promised not to disturb 40 ancient sites to enlarge its $4.5 billion South Flank iron ore project in WA without consulting traditional owners. It is legally allowed to disturb them after successfully lodging an application under a section of the state's Aboriginal Cultural Heritage Bill that enabled the Kucoin Gorge blast to happen. The state government hopes to pass its new version of the bill this year, which will provide for agreements between traditional owners and companies to consider new information and be amended by mutual consent. Mr. McKenzie said BHP operated at a level higher than the legislation, only disturbing 50% of the sites it was allowed to, and says there is so far no change to the South Flank project schedule. The meeting for investors holding Australian-listed shares saw directors from the UK, Switzerland, US and Australia take part via video link, while another will be held on Thursday for those holding BHP's London-listed stock, with the results of votes on 24 resolutions not known until after the second event. So there we have it. There we have some interesting insights into BHP responding to, the Rio disaster, really. But also, confirmation that our coal imports, well, are being restricted. Or maybe just tapered off or delayed. Political posturing or a threat to our economy, or their concerns about the greater economic recovery. What do you think? As always, let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and want to support the content I create here, there are a few ways you can. You can join the channel on YouTube or Patreon. You can support us using our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent, Reserve, or Kucoin. You can buy merch from HeiseSays, use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Take care, everyone. Have a great day. I'll see you next time.